everybody? Welcome back to JellyGoonTv. Welcome back to all my beautiful viewers and subscribers, of course. Welcome back to the gorgeous JellyGoon squad. Today we have another video, but before we get into that, please do check the social medias down below. Go to Instagram, everything like that. PM me over there if you have any video suggestions. Go to the Discord, light it up, chat, have some fun over there if you want to. We're trying to get to, 20,000 subscribers, so it'll be massively appreciated if you wanted to support also. Today we have a very special video. We're gonna go into the trained Russian army and its logistic up to the task. Now we're gonna see if the equipment is up to the task of war. We're gonna see what is going on with the war machines in Russia. I do like, my personal favorite is Russian artillery. I really do love Russian artillery. They have a lot of artillery, shots, tanks, everything like that, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's so beautiful to see. So without further ado, let's get into this. I like the artillery squad. I really do enjoy that. But without further ado, let's get into this and see how Russia does with the army. Let's go.
Previously, Binkov went in depth on the hardware that the Russian ground forces are using. But an army doesn't win wars just with tanks and rifles. True. Training, experience, and logistics is
strategy is also very
battles.
important.
So this video will try to explore those, as well as cover the other Russian ground forces, such as airborne, naval infantry, and even their National Guard. In Russia, everything can be bigger.
True. Amazing, man. Go in the link down below and support the hell out of this video, please.
The Russian army has a long history, and sometimes its experiences, like those in the war in Afghanistan, influenced its modern army. This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries. Afghanistan 1979, the war that changed the world, is just one of the documentaries I liked, teaching me more about the decade-long Soviet military campaign that helped bring down the USSR. Many more documentaries and non-fiction titles are offered on CuriosityStream, coming from some of the world's best filmmakers. There are new shows added weekly, including exclusive originals. CuriosityStream is available worldwide on a myriad of platforms, and Binkov viewers will find it extremely affordable. Go to curiositystream.com/Binkov, use the promo code Binkov and get 25% off. Basically, a whole year of subscription for just $14.99. So if you're a learning nerd, if you like science, nature, history, technology, and much more, give it a try and enjoy unlimited access to world's best documentaries. Looking at the composition of Russian ground forces, it's apparent that Russia has fewer logistics and support units than the US. For the size of its combat component, that is. It's something Russia is aware of, as there are plans to add more logistics units on the divisional level. Today, Russian regiments are light on support units compared to the US brigades, which have almost as much command and support units as combat ones. That ratio changes in favor of support, command, and overhead once the total US Army personnel is tallied. Back in the Cold War, Soviet motor rifle divisions and regiments were super heavy on combat stuff, leaving the same meager 18% for support and command for both levels. Russia has increased that ratio somewhat closer to the current US Army levels, but just by how much is hard to tell. If the Russian Army used the ratio of added support and overhead personnel similar to the US one, using the known combat unit count and personnel estimate, then the Russian Army would have way more personnel than it does, which it clearly doesn't. Hence the relative lack of support personnel. Once the adjusted figure of combat units, including Army aviation, is compared to the overall adjusted figure of personnel connected to the Russian Army. Basically, the ratio may be the reverse of the one in the US Army. It's only a rough estimate, but it's safe to say it is higher than it was in the Soviet era. When it comes to budgeting, Russian land forces have, on the average, required far more money than the air forces or the navy. Compare that with the average US spending, and it's evident land forces are the king of the usual triad of branches. The same time period is helpful for looking at where the Russian budget stands when it comes to personnel salaries. The budget money going to soldiers' pay amounted to 46%. Compare that to the US military pay and benefits, which constitute 34% of the US budget. Why is that important? Well, it shows that it's quite hard for the Russian military to grow any larger or more professional than it currently is, without serious changes to budgeting or using more conscripts. And using fewer conscripts is exactly what the Russian military, ground forces included, has been all about for the last 20 years. Where professional soldiers were few and far between in the year 2000, they've been hovering around 400,000 for the last 5 years.
Wow.
For the whole military.
That's a lot of people, man.
Which is kind of a problem too.
Yeah, but it's still a lot
the
of
Russian
people.
military wanted to increase their numbers even more, at one time planning 500,000 contract soldiers by 2025. But money is not unlimited, and those plans shrank to fewer professional troops, with the deadline now being 2030. Indeed, most contract soldiers in the Russian military get close to or little over median Russian salary. So it's not surprising that a part of the Russian military is still composed of conscripts, serving 1 year, which get a measly monthly allowance. Still, as said, the Russian military keeps a decent number of professional soldiers. Allegedly, no maneuver unit, meaning units primarily tasked with fighting, contain conscripts. Conscripts are relegated to support duties. Contract soldiers are rough analogues to US Army soldiers. They sign a contract for 2 years or sometimes a few years longer. That's similar to the US system, where enlisted serve a minimum of 2 years in the active duty, though the US averages closer to 4 years of active duty. However, the US servicemen have to serve 8 years in total, with the remaining years spent in reserves. Since the Russian army still doesn't have a fleshed out reservist system, the similarities end there. For the last decade, Russia has struggled to create a large trained reservist
America
force.
has a lot of soldiers,
Local command
man.
efforts would sometimes yield forces of 5,000 to 8,000 reservist troops, undergoing refresher training courses. Recently, there's been a new push in the Russian Southern Military District to create a force of 38,000 reservists. Ex-military personnel will be able to sign a 3 to 5 year reservist contract. They might then be called to mobilize, train, or even do combat. It is still too early to say what will happen with that plan. Right now, Russian law considers most males of suitable age reservist worthy. In theory, that's over 2 million men. In practice, though, Russian generals Boldyrev and Makarov said they expect 300 to 700,000 ex-military to be successfully mobilized as reservists in case of a big war. One area where Russian ground forces are quite strong in theory is storage of old military hardware, for use in the event of a total war, where many reservists and the civilian population as well would have to be mobilized. While the US Army also has lots of old equipment stored, Russian stores are a few times bigger. Of course, there are issues. It's impossible to tell just how well preserved all that Russian hardware is.
That is true.
At the same time, stored amounts have been dropping quite a bit. So maybe that signals that a part of what's claimed is at least
Look at that
somewhat
tank, man. That's
usable in
beautiful.
practice. There is also, of course, the matter of training and experience, though that's much harder to quantify. The Russian army did increase their abysmal training rates from the 2000s onwards, including now regular exercises with other countries. Since 2013, snap exercises with no warning started, with the number of major snap drills rising from 12 to 18 by 2014.
Wow, that's a lot of exercises,
numbers
man.
rose further by 2015. Very large exercises such as Zapad, Vostok and others are done regularly. Vostok 2018 famously involved 300,000 military personnel.
Look at that,
Though
man.
realistically, not more than 100,000 combat troops might have been involved.
Damn.
Now, all that still doesn't tell us much about capability levels, but given that professional soldiers increased in numbers, exercises increased in numbers and complexity, and actual participation
But it's a
in war
lot of
ops
soldiers, man, I
continued,
must say.
it's safe to say the Russian military is probably better trained now than it ever was, now or in Soviet era. Allegedly, one Russian general said it's cheaper for the Russian army to fight in Syria than to organize training exercises in Russia. Indeed, from 2015 onward, Russia has been rotating
It's easier to make
contingents of their
war than
military
it
in
is
Syria,
training. What?
keeping them 3 to 4 months in theater to gain experience. Before that, Russian troops were gaining experience in eastern Ukraine. The elite part of the troops meant to do ground combat certainly train a lot. Airborne Corps infantry would probably be the first to react in any war. Their list of training exercises is impressive. A single airborne regiment was on record to have performed these following exercises in a half-year period. If one tried to answer the question of just how well trained Russian troops are compared to, say, US ones, a very rough estimate might look something like this. Competency there meaning ability to wage war in a broad set of surroundings and experience with cooperating with other military assets. Those items are also the reasons why the US Army Reserve is last on its side of the list. Its units are not meant for combat, but are various logistics and other support units.
True.
Also, unstructured
Special
Russian
forces,
reserves still score
airborne
similarly
corps.
to the Russian National Guard. On one hand, the Guard is a part professional, part conscript force, but on the other, it's not trained to do combined arms maneuvers. The reserves might still have some leftover combined arms experience from the time when they served in the army. The Russian National Guard is an internal security force, a light infantry and police in a sense. It's not even a part of the Russian military, but a parallel organization reporting to the Russian president. Besides internal security, it is tasked with anti-terrorism and border defense, though in case of a war it would perform certain other defense duties. Overall personnel numbers are big, but the operational field units suggest actual troops on the ground to be less numerous. Then again, some of its units do use military-grade armored vehicles,
That's
and
a
even a token
beautiful,
number of
wow.
light towed howitzers. As for the aforementioned airborne corps, that too isn't part of the ground army, but they are of course part of the military. In the Russian system, the airborne corps is an independent force, reporting directly to the commander-in-chief or his delegated operational commanders.
Amazing, man.
Back in 2012, the airborne corps numbered 35,000. Big plans were announced around that time that each division would get a third regiment. Yet it became evident that most of that size increase did not happen, perhaps due to finances.
Yeah.
Even today, the downward revised personnel goal is not yet reached. In actuality, the airborne corps today numbers between 45 and 50,000. Comparing that to the US airborne units, it's a slightly higher number, though the US figure pertains only to Army's units. The US Marines also have additional air assault units. Direct comparison is further hampered by the fact the US units involve a greater number of aviation and logistics personnel. So the power projection far outside Russian borders is probably not that effective, though Russian airborne can airdrop armored infantry fighting vehicles in large numbers, while the US airborne only recently started to reintroduce similar vehicles and mostly airdrops.
That's
Humvees.
amazing, man. But I think they're
But let's
gonna
also just mention the ground forces of the Russian Navy.
evolve robots and
The
something
closest
to
US
take over,
equivalent
man.
would be
'Cause
the Marine Corps. Russian naval infantry
I
has
just want to
also
say
grown.
something real quick. Now, I think they're gonna, put a development into robots and all these stuffs in the future, because this is just impossible to keep in correction and trying to build the power because there's not much people. So I think that Russia and America, they're gonna go over to robotic warfare. That means that they're gonna have UAVs. They're gonna have all these things that doesn't require men to be there. Just a pilot at home sitting in with the coffee and everything, and just drones away. I don't think they're gonna keep depending on people. I really don't. Let's go.
In recent
I really
years,
don't.
even more so percentage-wise than the airborne corps. Yet it's way smaller than the US Marine Corps, possibly by 3 times over, as the average Russian battalion is almost half the size of the US Marine battalion. That being said, Russian naval infantry units have heavier systems. Those include
Really?
tanks, which the US Marines got rid of, as well as medium-range SAMs, which the US Marines again lack. Of course, Russian naval infantry is mostly meant to protect the coast and perform limited-scale operations taking various nearby islands. It's far less capable of large-scale amphibious landings compared to the US Marines. Russia simply doesn't have either the helicopter or landing ship numbers of the US. Helicopters are just not meant to support the Russian army, the way some other countries use them. In Russia, the transport helicopter fleet is sized to handle the airborne corps. It lacks thousands of helicopters to be really comparable to the US Army helicopter fleet, which serves
But
its
America
entire
always
army.
been superior in
Russian
air, no
infantry
matter what
units
you
are
say.
just not as mobile as US ones, as they prioritize other areas. All those Russian helicopters are officially part of the Air Force, of course, so while we're at it, why not mention the combat helicopters as well? What is increasingly part of the Russian army are drone aircraft. Allegedly, Russia operates some 4,000 drones, though the vast majority of those are tiny ones. Right now, the 3 most used models are the Four-Post family, based on the Israeli Searcher drones, homegrown Eleron 3, and the Zastava, based on Israeli Bird-Eye 400. Besides Eleron, other homegrown drones are increasingly joining the force. More potent Four-Post R has started production. Despite all the novel additions,
Look at
the
that
future
tank.
of the Russian ground forces is murky as always. It's not just about the hardware, but also about personnel. It's about finances, training, getting more non-commissioned officers, which is also one area where the Russian army stumbled. In past reforms, it got rid of many such positions while it streamlined its numbers. And now the army is bringing back some of those NCO positions as they realize they lack in that middle-level command tier. Nevertheless, the Russian ground army is a very powerful beast, especially when protecting Russia's own borders, for which it was, after all, created. Against a medium-sized or even large but not very united opponent, it might prove to be very capable in various near-border wars. As long as it doesn't have to project its power 1,000 miles away from its borders, the Russian army might be very quick to react and very lethal to its neighbors, if there ever comes to such a war.
Sure. Alright, man. That was an amazing video, really did enjoy it a lot. Now, the Russian army is very, very strong, but of course the American army, they have a lot of airbornes, they have superior helicopters, superior flights, no matter what you say they are. America is great in air, no matter what. It doesn't even matter what you're trying to experience or what you're trying to comment down below that, oh, we are trying to devolve. No, America's superior in air, and that's just how it's always been. They have UAVs, they have a lot of freaking things. They have a lot of technology, a lot of things. Now, but there's a difference between America and Russia. America was designed to invade other countries. Like, they really do want to, you know, America do join wars and everything like that. Russia do not join wars. They only defend their own country. They want to defend themselves. They're not going to take anything. They're not going to do like that. So, yeah, Russia is basically better at defending their own countries, and that's what the whole purpose was, of course, of this. Russia's beautiful army, man. I love the artillery, love the tanks, everything like that. Americans too. Americans are crazy military, really amazing, man. But Russians also have old equipment from the Soviet era, which they did not dispose of. And America, of course, has too. But Russia has more. It's crazy, man. But Russia did produce a lot of tanks and everything like that. And why throw it out if you can use it, of course? Anyway, guys and girls, that was a beautiful video. Really did like it a lot. Please hit the like button down below if you like this kind of video. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button if you really want to support the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, so it'll be massively appreciated if you wanted to support. Also, please do comment down below what you think about this video. Do you think the Americans or do you think the Russians stand a chance to invade Europe? I really want to know what you think. I personally, no, I don't believe Russia can invade Europe. I don't believe that Russia can do anything like that, big of a scale warfare. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. It's no hate. Like, many in the comments right now are thinking about, oh, he's hating on Russia. I have no hate towards Russia. I'm just saying, I do not believe that Russia can take over Europe. I do not believe that they are ready for that fight. Neither do I think that Russia wants that fight. Russia want to not defeat, but protect their own country. They are not looking at invading Europe. They're not looking at invading other countries. Russia about protecting themselves, and I respect that so much. Really beautiful video. Anyway, guys and girls, if you really do like this video, please do what I said, of course, and I'm gonna see you until the next video, of course. Peace.